Chopper got a red dot and some titties, I ain't with the drama. I'm just trying to touch a milli, I'm a addy dropper. Cause on my mama we get busy. Another man down in my city. Brody Chopper got a red dot and some titties, I ain't with the drama. I'm just trying to touch a milli, I'm a addy dropper. Cause on my mama we get busy. Plug pull up with the pack and I ain't even bust it down. Couple minutes on my phone, I promise I'm gon' get it gone. I stay solid, I get caught, I'm fighting till they sit me down. You get caught, you singing like a nigga in the studio. Brody sold the whip for 1,000 cause we just slid in it. I really make a house call, fuck if your kids in it. Been through some shit that's why my heart too froze. You ain't living what you rapping in a studio. You get your noodle blown, fucking with the opposition. My brother making decisions on anybody that's dissing. With the quickness, I'ma make a decision, I'm on a mission. You tripping, thinking we missing, I'm shooting up with precision. Red beam on the barrel to give myself some assistance. My brother come through like sniper, he knock you off from a distance. Big foe with no foe, I'm balling just like a piston. We get the... Damn, heard it's another man down in my city. Brody Chopper got a red dot and some titties, I ain't with the drama. I'm just trying to touch a milli, I'm a addy dropper. Cause on my mama we get busy. Another man down in my city. Brody Chopper got a red dot and some titties, I ain't with the drama. I'm just trying to touch a milli, I'm a addy dropper. Cause on my mama we get busy. Plug pull up with the pack and I ain't even bust it down. Couple minutes on my phone, I promise I'm gon' get it gone. I stay solid, I get caught, I'm fighting till they sit me down. You get caught, you singing like a nigga in the studio. Brody sold the whip for 1,000 cause we just slid in it. I really make a house call, fuck if your kids in it. Been through some shit that's why my heart too froze. You ain't living what you rapping in a studio. You get your noodle blown, fucking with the opposition. My brother making decisions on anybody that's dissing. With the quickness, I'ma make a decision, I'm on a mission. You tripping, thinking we missing, I'm shooting up with precision. Red beam on the barrel to give myself some assistance. My brother come through like sniper, he knock you off from a distance. Big foe with no foe, I'm balling just like a piston.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is the El Nino Podcast. I'm Eladio Nino, and this is Real Everyday People. Man, I hope everybody had a good weekend. My weekend was pretty smooth. Friday, we had the family fiesta event at the DHDC. It was dope. Had the dunk tank there. Had a petting zoo there for all the family. Bouncy house. I mean, it was really dope. Had local vendors showing support. It was really dope. Had all the carnival games for the kids, and it was just really nice to see the community come together and all families be able to come there and have a good time. Also, the next day, I got blessed with a couple tickets, and I went to the Fiesta game at Detroit at Comerica Park. And I've been home for 4 years now after doing them 17 years. And ever since I've been home, I've been wanting to go to a Fiesta game at Comerica Park. And I could never get it. I could never get no tickets, or I was working or something was going on. And just out of nowhere, man, I got blessed with the opportunity. So I was grateful, loved it. It was a whole vibe in itself. But, man, today, man, I've been out. I've been networking, and I've been building bridges. And I built a bridge today with a good brother. And I'm happy to have him here and happy to have him share his story. My man, hashtag Mr. Not Guilty. This is Edward Martell. What's up, brother?
My brother, thank you for having me.
Yeah, no doubt, man. Welcome to the El Nino Podcast Studios, bro.
Definitely. I appreciate you having me. Again, when you asked me to come on, I said to myself, Eladio is the voice of the streets, right? And I'm in the courtroom every day fighting for people's freedom. I consider myself the people's champ when it comes to getting in there and, fighting for due process for our people and, the people's champ and the voice of the streets connecting. I appreciate you having me again.
Hey, no doubt about it, man. I was grateful, and you reached out like, bro, let's build, you know what I'm saying? And I love it, man, because this is how we can get more done. You know what I'm saying? And, we learn how to be team players, and we know that the load is heavy, so you need solid people by you. You know what I'm saying? People who are reliable, people with integrity, and people who can really make an impact.
Yes, sir. I feel you 1,000%. And just thinking about where we come from and where we are today, I mean, man, this was meant to be.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So, man, tell the people a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you from, what it is, and what it ain't, bro.
As Eladio said, I'm an attorney, a criminal defense attorney, but I'm also a convicted felon. Let me repeat that. I'm also a convicted felon. And I wake up every morning and I pinch myself because that doesn't make any logical sense, right? and it's a long journey, and we'll try to squeeze it into this 1 or 2 hours, how long we got. But long story short, just starting all the way back at the bottom. Grew up single mom, no pops in the house, low income housing, $7 books of food stamps, and making it happen. I never realized we was broke though coming up, right? Mom's always made it happen, right?
Did you have any siblings, or was it just you?
No, we got siblings. I got, as a matter of fact, 2 siblings, and then a third one came along later, from stepdad, etc.
Okay.
My grandfather came up here, third generation, Chicano. My grandfather came up here in the 50s, 60s, Southwest Detroit, and, got a job at the plant. And then ultimately, once they got a little established, moved out, Western Wayne County, etc. But long story short, my mom's was kind of, there was no pops in the house. So, back then, having no pops in the house and just moms, I don't want to say we were the black sheep of the family, but we were the black sheep of the family, or the brown sheep in our case, right? But long story short,
so were you the youngest, the oldest?
I was the second. Okay. Right? I got an older sister, Carmelita. But yeah, moms, she, raised us right, taught us right from wrong, etc. Try to raise us up in the church, etc. But, when it comes to, temptation is a motherfucker, right? Mm-hmm. And so, at early age, jumped off the porch and started, chasing my Nino Brown dreams, as we say. I knew right from wrong, man. But, sometimes, people get tired of being tired, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And, first encounter with the justice system. My first encounter with the justice system was actually not myself. It was my uncle. And he was accused of, a felony offense, and he had a court appointed, or as we say, or used to say, I don't want to disrespect my brothers and sisters in the struggle as far as fighting for justice, but public pretenders, we used to say back in the day. No disrespect.
Public pretenders, yeah.
He didn't have no money. And, he ultimately, it was a bench trial. It was quick. We sat right through it. It was me, my cousin, my mom, my aunt, my tia, and he was convicted. They gave him 7 years, and he never made it home. And it traumatized my family. And that was my first encounter with the justice system, right? Ultimately, it was like 2 weeks before his release date, and they tossed him from the top tier. And I was going to ask
you, because you said he never made it home.
Yeah, I was
you
real
said he got
young.
7 years but never made it home.
Yeah,
I'm like, what?
I was real young, but, my family's still traumatized from that, Because,
And that was here in Michigan?
That was here in Michigan.
Okay.
And it made me think, if that was the whole time, like, when I'm chasing this dream of being an attorney, I think to myself, if I was a lawyer back then, could I have saved my uncle? You think about that, things that make you go, huh? You think about things like that, And then ultimately, early encounters with the police, they put you on the wrong side of the law, and ultimately, it kind of lays the foundation for who you are, right? And so, I say 13 was my first interaction with the justice system personally. I had caught a weapons charge. It was real petty too. And so ultimately, then 15, something with breaking and entering automobiles, something like that. Then I came home, went to the youth home for a short piece, came home, and dropped out of school at that point, and just, started going full throttle, Mm-hmm. By 17, 18, 19, I was, again, chasing my Nino Brown dreams.
So
right?
Let me ask you this. I know you said your father was absent.
Yeah.
What male figures did you have in your life? Like, did you have homies, uncles, big homies, cousins?
Yeah,
And then, like, what part of the neighborhood did you grow up in?
So, let me take you back, because like I said, my grandfather moved to Southwest Detroit when we were younger, and certainly have family between Southwest all the way to Ypsilanti.
Okay.
I've lived all through Wayne County. Most of my adult life I spent in Inkster, not Southwest, right?
Yeah.
But I've been all through Wayne County. But my uncles, my grandfather, they were in my life. It's always going to be a community to support us, even if your biological is absent, right?
Yeah, so, no doubt about
it. Shout out to them, and making sure that at least they taught me best they could how to be a man, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Right? But by I don't know, 19, I was definitely out of the house doing my own thing. I want to say much earlier than that, right? I remember, I think 17. I had already bought my own place over there off on Elmer, off McGraw. So I was doing my own thing, right?
Yeah.
But you know, I had passion,
That's crazy, Mike.
but I was misled. You know, I was misled in the sense that, you know, money is not the end all be all, and that's all we see is rims, the money, the weed, the woman. That's all we see it that when we're that immature minded.
Poverty,
right?
that
Well, you know,
you come from poverty. That's what you see. That's what you think wealth looks like.
that's what I thought wealth was.
You
but,
know.
you know, and then ultimately, you know,
who inspired you? Who were
to be an attorney, or to
be
hustle
in the
harder,
streets, to hustle hard, to sell dope.
Well,
you know what I mean?
You know, like I mean, when I was younger, I mean, I was anywhere between Ypsilanti and Inkster, so there was a lot of guys out there
a lot of
that I
dope
rocked with,
Inkster.
But I mean, I'm not. The names were changed to protect the guilty,
Yeah,
right? But
absolutely.
You know, but you know, certainly. You know, not everybody that does wrong is bad people. I mean, I love everybody.
No.
I mean, I love everybody. We still brothers. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, you know, it's survival out here. I mean, God, I was blessed up, and you know, God got my head on straight, and you know, I got refocused. But you know, it could have ended differently. I got brothers that aren't here today. I got brothers that are, you know, got natural lives. I got brothers that are doing short pieces. But you know, it's you know, I got blessed up and actually caught a case. I caught 2 heavy cases in 05, back-to-back delivery cases, and it was the biggest blessing of my life. Right? I mean, I didn't realize it back then.
And most people
be
like, "What do you mean? Explain that. How was that a blessing?"
Man, I was the biggest blessing of my life, and you know, I didn't realize it back then, of course, but. You know, I came before. First of all, it caused me to have a spiritual reflection. You know, and it caused me to just look at myself and how did I end up in this box right here, in this cement box, and you know, what are you going to do from here on out? What is your plan? You know what I mean? And then second of all, you know, it not only the spiritual piece, but even sitting down and having a strategic plan coming. You know, once you get back, right? So and then, you know, it caused me to encounter Judge Bruce Morrow. You know, whom. You know, was an angel in disguise to me, right? Many, you know, call him Cut Him Loose Bruce. But, you know, giving me a second opportunity was, you know, he didn't have to, right? But that opportunity, you know, he challenged me. He said, you know, I dare you. I dare you to be a Fortune 500, CEO of a Fortune 500 company. He said, you ain't got to be out here, you know, selling drugs, selling crack to your people, essentially. And I said, okay, I took that challenge, you know. I like a good challenge, right? I said, let's do it. So I started chasing it down. I remember I went and first thing I did was I went and got a job up at Contractors Fence, because they're the only one that would hire anybody with, you know, up there on Finkel and Telegraph, would hire anybody with any type of blemish, right? And so I was out there digging 42-inch fence post holes, right? And probably for minimum wage, if I recall correctly. But, you know, ultimately I got, you know, tired of trying to figure out, you know, manual labor positions. You know, they want us to have a job, but not their job, right?
Yeah.
And,
always.
You know, ultimately, I went back to school. You know, I went to Wayne County Community College. I started, I remember the first day I walked in there, I wanted to be, they said, what do you want to be? I said, I want to be a lawyer. And I got the giggle, right? Because, I mean, I was a felon, right?
Yeah.
And so, you know, they're like, well, no, you do heating and cooling, etc. I'm like, man, just give me a chance. Let me prove myself, right? So, you know, they let me do the prerequisites, and that was all she wrote. We got, you know, 3 years later, I got, you know, a scholarship to Detroit Mercy. Went up there, studied pre-law, Spanish language, and political science. And then it was trying to get into law school. Now that was you know, quite a challenge, because many people don't know about this, but there's what's called character and fitness, right? Okay. Character and fitness. To become a lawyer in the state of Michigan, you got to have requisite character and fitness. So you have to essentially, you know, it's pretty much this. If I'm looking across the table at you, can you trust me? Okay, that's pretty much the gist of it. And you have to have honesty. You have to have integrity. You got to have ethics, right? And you know, so
this is what they teach in law school.
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, they have a whole class
pre-law.
But it's part in law school. They got a whole course on ethics, right? You have to essentially, you know. And there's also a test or an exam on that before you get to be a lawyer. You got to pass the ethics exam as well as the bar exam.
So tell me this: for that to be part of your training, you know, to become an attorney, but in real life and in real time in society, there's a saying that says, don't ever trust a car salesman and don't ever trust an attorney. You know what I'm saying? So break it down for me, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, I know everybody ain't right, you know what I'm saying? But I know everybody ain't wrong neither.
No. Yeah.
How do you, for somebody who catches a case, you know, sometimes people are selling houses, getting loans on houses, cars, trying to scrounge up money to pay for an attorney. And they, you know, in hopes of getting the best results they can. You know what I'm saying? And some either come out disappointed or, you know, sometimes attorneys are dishonest with them or, you know, they don't put in the work or they don't have the connections, you know what I'm saying? But they're still taking the money. And a lot of people feel duped in the end.
No doubt.
How do you break that stereotype and what separates you from the rest and what makes you trustworthy?
Man, I tell you this. Number one thing, any lawyer, I don't guarantee anything except for I will go in that court when I will fight for you. I'll give you every bit of blood, sweat, and tears. But I can't guarantee you a result. Any lawyer that guarantees you a result, you have to look at them with a side eye because there's no guarantees in law. You know that, you haven't gone through the system, and I know that from both sides, right? So that's one thing. There's no guarantees out here. Number two, you know, it's individual accessible. Many times you pay that retainer, it's very hard to get in touch with folks, okay? I pride myself on being accessible to not only my clients, but to the community at large, right? I mean, everybody here knows my number. Shameless plug, 313-748-8290. Mr. Not Guilty. But the other thing is, you know, you got to be able to trust who you have fighting for your freedom. Right? I mean, there's some people that just come to me because they trust me, right? They don't say how long have you been doing this, what do you specialize in, et cetera, et cetera. But I won't take your money if I can't successfully fight your case, and I know that from the jump. I'll be honest with you. Right? I don't need your money that bad where I'm going to sacrifice my ethics after working 20 years and proving myself to get here. You understand?
Yes.
That's what it says to me every morning, that you're not the man who you were 20 years ago. You're different now.
That's
because
right.
you don't need to take somebody's money if you can't earn that money.
That's
you understand?
Right. That's
so
right.
you got to trust who you're dealing with. And I've dealt with shady lawyers in the past. I mean, there's shady people in every game. But I mean, I've had some bad dealings when I was on the other side of the law. So I understand that not all lawyers are bad. There's different levels of advocacy within the legal community, but for the most part, all of my fellow attorneys are good people. But again, you got to find who you trust with your freedom.
How much do politics play a part in you representing your client? You know what I'm saying? Or not just you, but all attorneys, like. Because people believe in that whole swapping out shit. You know what I'm saying? I'll swap this case for that
terrible,
case.
man.
We'll find that guy guilty, but we'll give him a break. And, all that old Mickey Mouse political shit. You know what I'm saying? It's almost like you're 50-50. Like, am I going to be the one that comes out on top? Or, you know what I'm saying? Or am I the one that gets hit in the head?
That's why we love Laudio. He asks the tough questions, right?
Yeah, the real shit.
The
real
shit,
everyday
right?
people, man.
Hey, look, unfortunately, man, there's politics and everything. I'm not going to lie to you, Brody. Right? There's politics and everything. I don't play that game. I would never sacrifice one of my clients, period, dot, right? I don't know what other lawyers do, but I don't play that game. But at the end of the day, it's their politics in every world. Absolutely.
Yeah. I just, when I had my murder case, and we had Gabby Silver, we had Dominic Cerise, and we had David Cripps on our murder case. And at that time, this was 2002, and they was really putting on for all dope cases and murders in Southwest Detroit. So they were real known for either beating the case or, coming out with the best outcome for you, And, they did a pretty good job. Fucking Gabby Silver, she was a savage, bro. Yeah. She went ham. And David Cripps, his name just spoke volumes. And Dominic Cerise, he got picked up because he does federal cases and state cases. And one of my partners was fighting both. And the only thing that I didn't like is that, I'm the type of person, I'd rather hear the hard truth than a soft lie. You know what I'm saying? But I think it's a strategic way to keep your client calm by saying things are looking good, everything's straight, don't worry, we got this, and all that Mickey Mouse shit until we get to the end and you're like, hey, you're going to need to take this cop. And the whole time I'm thinking we're sweet. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's a strategic move, but for me, I feel like it does me a disservice because I like to know what I'm really up against. against. You know what I mean? So I can do some critical thinking. You know what I mean? But it's like, you know, a lot of times they sell you a dream, you know, and it's unfortunate because, you build a guy up and then only to tear him down. You know?
No, I understand. And, you know, you threw out a couple names and, you know, all of them really good attorneys. Everybody has their own strategy as far as defense. You know, I could say this, you know, I'm diligent, I'm vigorous. You know, I'm a fighter. I go in there and I fight, right? And so, you know, the other side knows when they see me that I'm not in here just to, you know, cop the earliest plea, but, you know, we in here to try to, you know, pepper you with motions too, you know. Essentially, I see the white flag waving because that's the goal for every case, period, dot, right?
Yeah.
Do we win every case? I mean, again, there's no guarantees in life, but, you know, I give it 1,000%, period, dot.
That's dope. And I believe that because you come from where you come from. You know what I'm saying? Like they say, be the change you want to see.
Absolutely.
And you became that. You know, a lot of
Appreciate
people don't
that.
understand that.
Appreciate
You
that.
became that change. You was part of that system. You didn't like it. You didn't like the outcome. You know what I'm saying? You were inspired by the struggle that you endured and then became part of the solution. You know what I'm saying?
And I thank you.
And I applaud you for that,
I
bro.
thank
That's
you.
real shit.
And again, man, I wake up and pinch myself because I just, you know, sometimes it don't seem real. At the same time, you know, I'm so busy now fighting cases that I internally struggle with not having enough time to give back to our community, right? To try to, you know, make sure that the next, you know, pay it forward. Make sure the next man doesn't have such a hard time. I shouldn't be the exception. I should be the template, the norm, right?
Yeah.
I mean, whether or not it's law or anything else, but, you know, there was a time that when, you know, where they wouldn't even license us to be a barber or a CDL driver, right? People don't know this, but my first degree was a Class A CDL right there at Suburban Truck Driving School,
Wow.
right? Because I didn't know what I wanted to be. I just knew I didn't want to sell dope no more. You know what I mean? And I keep that on the wall right next to my law degree.
And you wanted a good job to make good money.
Yeah, that's it. I just wanted to survive and pay for my family. But I put that on the wall right next to my law degree because it means just as much to me. You know, because I mean that was my first accomplishment, right? But yeah, I mean I'm really struggling internally with, you know, making time to try to you know, pour back into the community, and, you know, that's what, you know, bridging this gap is about, right? I'm available, period, right?
Yeah. So how do you separate your professional life from your personal life? Because when you take a client, you got to become real intimate with their case, with the details.
Yeah.
And I'm sure sometimes it can be disturbing. Sometimes it can be frustrating. Sometimes you can relate and sometimes you can't. You know what I'm saying? Like me, I do my best. When I punch my clock out, bro, I try to just stay focused on a whole different mission, leave work behind me, you know what I'm saying, and get to pushing. But sometimes it's not always easy. Sometimes you have to bring work home, you know?
No doubt. And, you know, I will say this is now that I, you know, and I was with a larger firm in, you know, downtown for the last 5 years, you know, got drafted out of law school by them, and, you know, they helped to lay the foundation. But in May, I went out on my own, Martell Law, right? We got 2 locations right here in Downriver and then downtown as well in the Venture Building. But, you know, now that I'm my own man per se, I have a lot more autonomy as to what cases I want to take. You understand? There's certain cases I don't prefer to take. Everybody deserves due process and representation, but I prefer to stay in my lane, which is, you know, narcotics cases, weapons cases, and homicides cases, right? Because I mean, Fourth Amendment issues I'm very passionate about. I'm licensed both in Michigan State as well as Eastern District Federal. So, you know, again, I got to.
That's dope.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. And
that's sweet.
I want to start doing
for you, bro.
Thank you, brother. I want to start doing more federal, and, you know, just kind of eventually get away from the state stuff. But, you know, right now it's as long as it's in that lane of, you know, again, for lack of better terms, guns, drugs, or homicide cases. You know, I try to stay away from anything involving, you know, women, children, things like that. You know, occasionally I have been put in a predicament where, you know, I do represent, but, you know, I'd say 99% of the practice is guns and drugs cases.
Yeah. So if you catch a case anywhere from Southwest to Downriver to Inkster to Ypsi, Hit up Mr. Not Guilty, man. Martell Law, that's your man. He gonna fight for you and get you what you got coming, man.
Hey, what they say, if there's a Nickelback sold in the park,
I want in,
I
baby.
want in.
I
No.
want in for sure. Damn, you know what? I got something for you. I forgot to bring it. Let me grab it.
Yep.
We get the damn. Heard it's another man down in my city, Brody Chopper got a red dot.
I was so busy hosting the El Nino Podcast Summer Bash, I didn't really get a chance to, chill with you like I wanted to.
No
but
doubt.
I wanted to gift you one of these shirts, man. Me and Jose Rivera from Detroit Forever 313, we did a collab that day.
That's what's up.
You know what I'm saying? And I didn't get a chance to gift you one, man. But
My
it's a
guy,
dope
I
ass-
appreciate it, brother.
Yup.
You're the
For
man.
you, man. Much love to you,
for
bro.
sure.
I appreciate you and, the sponsorship, the love, you know what I'm saying, all that good stuff. 4721 51st in Michigan. Go see Jose Rivera. We did a sweet collab. I got a couple tees, couple sizes, but get with us. That's what we about, man. Building bridges, networking, you know what I'm saying? And I love it, you know what I'm saying? Because you just always got a positive outcome, bro. And I believe in the each one teach one theory, bro. And
For sure.
you know what you're good at, what I'm good at, what he's good at, and we can all manage to come together and just, make something successful, whatever it is.
sure.
So I know that it had to have been a challenge to get to for you to get to where you're at today. You know what I'm saying? And then the mentors, along the way, your mentors along the way of your journey, that you've learned from working for other people. But like right now, bro, like you got all your own shit. You got two offices, you know what I'm saying? You killing. I love the office you got over here in on Telegraph. I can't wait till it's complete.
Appreciate it.
And I mean, you took life by the horns and you went for a ride and now you in full control, bro. You know what I'm saying, of your own business, your own destiny, your own dream. You know what I'm saying? You're responsible for all that. And it's dope, you know what I'm saying, to see somebody turn their whole life around, to have full ownership. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's an absolute blessing. That's empowering. It's inspiring. And I salute you for it. You know what I'm saying?
Appreciate
I
it,
respect you for it. And, I'm even happy to be a part of it. You know what I mean? But, I know you got to wake up every day just feeling like $1 million, bro. You know what I mean?
Man, I'm thankful, right? Thankful, humble. I mean, I feel like God gave me a second chance at life. After 20 years, and I really haven't shared this with anybody because it's very personal. But after 20 years, I was recently expunged, right? And then I've had some of my rights restored. Regaining relationships with my children. Being a father is, we've had numerous discussions is quite a challenge. And then I'm coming, growing into being the business side, right? Because you can't forget the business of law, right? I mean, it's a business, right? So even the administrative side I'm new to that part, but as far as the courtroom, that's my passion, right? So, it's coming along, but I'm certainly thankful to everybody that's helped to lay the foundation. Again, my uncles, my grandfather, my mom, and I mean, in the legal community, so many, have been there to support me. Judge Bruce Morrow, a number of other judges and lawyers. And, the one thing I was passionate about is making sure that we brought, high level of representation downriver. And I'll tell you why. Because, I mean, again, I'm from all the way from Southwest to Ypsi and everywhere in between. Okay, so I want to be accessible. Okay, I'm like dead smack in the middle of Washington, Monroe, Wayne County, and Oakland County. I'm 20 minutes either way, right? And again, now having my, my being a principal attorney of my own firm, I have autonomy. One of the things that hurts the most is when you want to represent somebody, but we're not on the same page as far as a retainer goes. Now I have more flexibility of being able to provide different payment options, et cetera, right? And so I don't have to turn people away. I have a lot of more autonomy. Certainly, again, just feel blessed.
I don't ever remember that being an option, when I was younger, catching cases and stuff like that. So I was like, damn, like this brother is really truly for the people, because you already know the whole reason that we out here catching cases for the most part is because we trying to survive. Whether you're stealing or selling drugs or whatever it is, the Mickey Mouse shit that we do, you know what I'm saying, to survive, because, you know, that's what we're taught. Only the strong survive. Survive by all means necessary. If that means robbing somebody, breaking into somebody's house, selling drugs, whatever it may be, you know what I'm saying? And then you catch a case and the attorney wants $10,000. Man, I'm out here doing the shit, you know what I'm saying, to eat. So how am I going to afford that? But you've made a way, though. You know what I'm saying?
Without having to, you know, water down my level of representation, which is what, you know, what's important, because, you know, everybody deserves the best regardless, right? But at the same time, I'm not doing appointed work. I'm doing retained work, which means I'm running a business, right? So, you know, we have put together different payment options, et cetera, depending upon
so you meeting them in the middle.
Well, as long as
you making it doable.
If you put one foot forward, I'll meet you in the middle, period, right? I mean, I'm here to fight for you, right?
Yeah, and I mean, it's like, you know, how many people came out with poor outcomes because they couldn't afford an attorney and had to go with a public what do you call it, public pretenders.
Man, you're gonna get me in trouble. The funny thing is, you know, and again, you know, a lot of good people in that particular you know, field of law, but it's a lot of you know, you're carrying a large caseload, so understandably, you know, you're overwhelmed sometimes. But the funny thing is, I came into this game intending on being a indigent defense, public defender, right? And then I was drafted by, again, that larger law firm, and you know, experienced the private practice, and you know, and now that's what I do now. But you know, I had every intention to be a public defender, which just, you know, it's you know, it's purpose and everything, but I found my purpose where I'm at. So, right.
I mean, hey, bro, you a boss, bro. For real, you are a boss, right? My dog, for real, man. Everybody, you done overcame so much shit that, you know, the system was built for you to not win. True. Or me. You know what I'm saying? And we overcame all that. We overcame a system that was built, you know, for us to lose, you know what I mean? Even with our own trials and errors, and, you know, we made life difficult too, because we made a lot of bad choices and things like that, you know, but that's from being a product of our environment. That comes from that whole by all means necessary mentality. But you overcame all that, utilized the suffering that you endured and turned it into your own. You know what I'm saying?
Funny thing is, my passion hasn't changed. Right? The same thing, you know, the same passion I had when I was out here, right, chasing money and everything else, is the same passion I have now, however, is redirected, right? I mean, and that, I think, gives you a leg up, a head start, because, I mean, I wake up in the morning running, right? I mean, knowing what it takes, right?
Because it ain't on you, it's in you. You know what I'm saying?
Amen.
It's in you,
Amen.
And I love that, bro, because I was going to say, you didn't really have to change too much of who you were. You just had to change the direction of your skills. You know what I'm saying? Apply it to for its purpose. You know what I mean? And I tell, like, gang members, drug dealers, thieves, like, bro, you could be working at a real company. You could be working for Chrysler. You could be starting your own business, and you can apply all these skills that you possess, because it takes intelligence, bro, to run gangs, operate gangs, sell drugs, network, communicate. You got to be a critical thinker. You got to do all these things. If you could just apply it to something that's positive, something that's good, something that's legal. You know what I'm saying?
Real talk, though, when I was in 05, when I caught them 2 cases, that the spiritual piece, man, it was, you know, heart change as well, though, and that's what caused me to initially redirect my purpose, right? Otherwise, and this is my honest opinion, without the heart change, man, we just putting Band-Aids on people, right? To be honest. So, you know, I think it's important that we have some introspection and see what it is and why we're doing certain things. Certainly there's a level of, you know, starting from the bottom. However, you know, at the same time, you got to get tired of being tired at some point, and that's what happened.
And I was going to ask you, what was your turning point? When did you get tired of your own shit?
That was it. I mean, when I was sitting at rock bottom, right, on my way out, I couldn't even get, you know, when nobody wants to accept your phone calls, you know, so everybody's tired of paying your bond. You know, at some point, you got to be tired of being tired. When you realize, when you get, you know, you realize that you're put here for more than just to chase money. right? Good here more than just work your wrist. That's not what I was put here for, right? And now each and every day, I'm challenged. So I enjoy it. Right?
And for a lot of guys today, a lot of people in general across urban cities across America, money is everything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, motherfuckers will kill you for some money, rob you for some money, and everything. And then some people get the money and then don't even know what the fuck to do with it. You know what I mean? But the thing about it is, I learned that money is a tool. And it's to be utilized, to build, to build and to duplicate, to multiply, you know what I'm saying? All that type of stuff. But I guess when it becomes your sole mission, there's so much that can take place in the midst of that. I think that whatever you pursue in life has to be led by purpose.
Amen.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's funny because you said something a while back, and it was, about, we started a certain place, etc. And it just made me think, like, when we were younger, I never had a thought of going to college. First of all, nobody in my family went to college at that point. And I was probably the first one to higher education, at least. Maybe not the first one to community college, but the first one to higher education. But also, I feel like you had to have money back then or play some type of sport. Right, and maybe that was just in my immature mind, but I don't think it was. I think it was different back then, right? But yeah, I mean, that just it wasn't. My grandfather worked at the plant, and if you worked at the plant, you were rich to me, right? And so a couple people within the family worked at the plant, and that was it. But I just don't remember people going to college like that when we were younger.
Shit, it wasn't too many people around me that was even finishing high school, graduating. Like today, you can look on Facebook and you have so many people and parents that are proud and happy. Their kids are, going to prom. Their kids are graduating. And like, I'm like, damn, I love to see it because when I grew up, bro, like I never even been to homecoming. I never been to prom. I dropped out of school in 9th grade. Like nobody valued education. Nobody was talking about college. Nobody was talking about graduating. Everybody was talking about just surviving, man, trying to get through the fucking day. You know what I mean? And it's like, so to see today that education is valued, gives purpose to, the generations to come.
Hey, but let me ask you this, a couple things. What do you think about how they do a graduation for every grade, even preschool, right? They do it like preschool, kindergarten, first grade, right?
Yeah, oh, okay. I didn't know. I didn't know they do that.
And then the other thing,
they're like milestones. I guess celebrating milestones.
I'm not necessarily against that because I see my baby smile, and anything I thought about it made me change. But what about the people going broke on the kids' graduation nowadays, man? I know. They be spending an arm and a leg. Sometimes I feel like we give these kids too much,
especially the car rentals. I see,
like even my own. Some of them are entitled now because we wanted them to have everything we didn't have, but they don't have that struggle and they don't got the fight in them because they don't have the struggle. Right? It's a catch-22. But
so tell me, what's it like being a father now compared to being a father then? When you were younger,
I'm gonna say some shit that's gonna fuck you up, but I'm 46 years of age. I probably didn't become a man until I was about 35. Right? I wasn't a father back then. I was a deadbeat donor, a sperm donor. I wasn't around for my children, my two older two, and it's been a struggle getting them back in my life. Me and my daughter have a great relationship. Me and my son, our relationship has never mended. I mean, he's in and out the justice system often and dealing with a couple other things. And, I try to be there for him, but it's going to take a lot of prayer and a lot of him wanting to do better,
Yeah, absolutely. It definitely
my
does.
youngest two, they've always known me as Superman. To them, I'd like to think I'm still Superman,
Absolutely.
I got a young teenager who's just hitting that age, and so, he thinks he's, the man, but I'm enjoying fatherhood at this point, but to the older two, I wasn't a father, and it takes, I have to be honest with myself,
Yeah. No, listen.
Your
brother.
shortcomings is what make you, be a better man now. Having these tough discussions and conversations and being honest with yourself,
Well, this is what it is. That's why I call it real everyday people, so that people can understand the real struggles that real people go through. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like we do a disservice to the community and to society if we ain't honest about, the poor choices that we made. You know what I'm saying? And, I think it's honorable when you can acknowledge it. Not that we glorify, but we're acknowledging it so that people can understand the growth. And hopefully maybe change you now instead of waiting 20, 30 more years to go through all this to become who you want to be.
People see me in a suit and think I don't have issues anymore. More money, more problems, right? I still got issues, just different issues. But, again, overcoming the past as far as my shortcomings of fatherhood, that's something I still deal with today. But, yeah.
I just I've been home for 4 years now, bro. And like both of my sons Victor and Emilio, they rode, my whole bid out. They were 1 and 3 when I came to prison, but they've been coming to prison since year 1 all the way to the end. You know what I'm saying? And the day that I came home, they decided that they didn't want shit to do with me. And I talked to them like 3 days before I was released from prison after doing 17 years. And we talked about, I can't wait to come home. We're going to go eat here. We're going to go shop. We're going to go here. We're going to go there. And I'm talking about this was 3 days before I was released. And the day I was released, they decided they didn't want shit to do with me. And I've been home 4 years and they still don't want shit to do with me. And I feel like this huge void in my life. You know what I'm saying? And I've tried, quite a few times to kind of build a bridge. I've poured my heart out and I've admitted, what I've done wrong. And I've always been honest with them about, throughout the years in prison, they've heard stories from, family, mother, streets and anything they ever asked me, I always was honest with them. I was always very transparent with them and maybe too honest because sometimes kids can't handle that type of honesty and they get emotionally attached to your response and they might hold it against you. And then a lot of times we don't realize, the impact and the damage that we do when we leave. We leave a lot of scars behind. We leave a lot of unfinished business behind. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes the mothers can carry resentment and then pass on that resentment to the kids and then they resent you as well, but I'm just hoping that, I still think of them, I still pray for them, and I hope, sooner than later, that I can build that bridge with them, and it's a lot of us that grew up without fathers that think, it's not a big deal because I did it, I made it, I didn't have no father, but I'm still good, you know what I'm saying? But although we overcame a lot of things and still made something of ourselves, it's still important to have your father and know who your father is. You know what I'm saying? I built my whole relationship with my father. I was not raised with him at all. But from the minute I went to prison till the year prior to me getting out, he rode the whole bid out with me, bro. Like, God put people in your life at certain times to serve a certain purpose. You know what I mean? And even though he wasn't in my life the whole time, he was by my side that whole bid and did just what he was supposed to do as a father. And the more I got to know my father, the more I got to know myself. Amen. And then a year before I got out of prison, my father passed away. Ooh, and it broke my heart because even though I was getting out at the age of 40 years old, I still had that inner child that couldn't wait to have that father and son relationship. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, damn, God gives and God takes away. He gave me a father so I can find myself. You know what I'm saying? He gave me a support system to ride this bit out with. And just as I'm coming home, you know what I'm saying? I was not prepared to not have my father there when I came home. I was not prepared to not have my sons there when I came home. Like, when you're sitting in prison and you map out your whole life and you think everything's going to go according to that, you are absolutely wrong. You know what I'm saying? You cannot plan for how things are going to go. You can only make your mind up of what you want and what you don't want, So, every day I live with that void. But I'm hoping, one day sooner than later, you know what I'm saying, that I will be able to build that bridge because people do go a lifetime without talking to their own kids. You know what I'm saying?
Man, and you're familiar with generational curses, right?
Yes,
you ever heard about that? And,
I was always taught the sins of the fathers are passed on to the sons.
And I didn't really understand that, but I look at all of the other men in my family and even my biological father and I don't want to put people's business out there, but even uncles, grandfathers, and there's generations within our family of the men having multiple families. You understand? Multiple situations, multiple children by various different women. and that's unfortunately passed down to me, and that's not good, right? And I pray that doesn't carry on to my sons. But generational curses, man. Whether you like it or not, I they have affected my family, right? So, but I think about what you're saying, and you're correct. I'm 46. At 39, my biological reached back out to me, and I haven't seen him since I was. I think he got me out the youth home when I was like 15, right? That felt like I stayed over there for a couple nights and in peace. But, and I guess I wanted more. The inner child was geeked about having a dad, right? We did lunch a couple times, and we still do lunch maybe once a year. But he moved out of state. But it was good just to reconnect, and we're still going, trying to develop something. But I still got love for him, even though I don't hold grudges, man. Not like that. I was just and I could have, but why, right? At this point in life. I mean,
Only thing you could do is just break them curses and do better. Yeah. And that's why I hold the community healing circles like I do. I do them once a month because I feel like we got to get to the root of our problems. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of this baggage of trauma is being handed down to the generations in front of us, and they're carrying burdens and resentment and hate in their heart for reasons that they don't even know. You know what I'm saying? So when we go to these healing circles, we're able to share the baggage that we're carrying, and we've been carrying for 10, 20, and 30 years from childhood to adolescent to adulthood, you know what I'm saying? And people just rather not talk about it, because it's painful, you know what I'm saying?
It is.
But I feel like once you start to talk about it with a collective of people, who you can trust, you feel lighter, you feel better. And then once you start talking about these things, then you start to feel lighter about life. Then you make room for love. You make room for forgiveness. You know what I'm saying? And I think that that's very important if we're going to continue to be successful and break them vicious cycles of violence and growing up without fathers and all the resentment that families and kids have towards their parents. You know?
I've been seeing that lately a lot. I don't recall that back when we were younger, right? I mean, just children acting out against their parents and like. Violence to a different level nowadays, right? I mean, we would have, obviously get upset at our parents sometimes, or your mom or whoever. But not that. Number one, don't smoke in front of mom, don't drink in front of mom, don't cuss in front of mom, and don't ever think about, bossing up on your mom, right? Yeah, but I see that nowadays a lot. It's really weird.
But you got to understand, because I had started a youth program when I was in prison. And I started asking a lot of these youth, why are you guys have such a lack of respect for adults? Some of them said, well, shit, I sell crack and heroin to my mother and my father and my aunts and my uncles. So these are the type of adults that you got in your life. Or you got other ones that, you got the parents, they always lied to them. They disappointed them. They were manipulating them. They were using them. They were abusing them. You know what I'm saying? So, a lot of the younger generation have a lack of respect and trust for adults because of the things that they're seeing, the behaviors that they've seen even by their own family members, you know what I'm saying? And, so we got to hold ourselves accountable and responsible for that, you know what I'm saying? And we have to do better ourselves, and then we got to apologize, to our kids, to the people that we love, that we hurt along the way. You know what I'm saying? Because it can't just be about I went from the worst to the best, so now it's all good. We still have to acknowledge the damage that we've done. You know what I'm saying? Even when I was in prison, bro, I used to pray for my victim's family. You know what I'm saying? And because, I had a 17-year-old victim on my murder case. You know what I'm saying? He got killed. He was 17 years old. He never got to see his son be born. My brother Pat, he was the one that killed him. He went to prison and didn't even get a chance to see his son be born. And then they just killed him last year, and he didn't get to see his second son being born. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like a vicious cycle where if you don't heal, if you don't learn, if you don't change, you're just going to continue to be a product of this. But if you heal, then like I said, you make more room for forgiveness. You learn to forgive yourself. You learn to forgive others. You know what I'm saying? At a time where you think I could never forgive this person. Once you start forgiving you and start holding yourself accountable and be responsible for the decisions and the damage that you made, and you can start righting your wrongs, man, people will follow you. People will see the change. You know what I'm saying? And then that's when the impact comes, you know?
Amen. It seemed like you hit a certain point, a certain mindset where, you know, I've just decided I don't do drama. You know what I mean? Even if it's coming at me, I don't do drama, you know? And, you know, it's based upon what you're discussing right there. But
And then you're aware of your triggers.
Exactly.
Once you get to know you, bro, and you learn how to operate, because there's so many people out here who are literal, got strings attached to them, are puppets. You got all kinds of buttons and triggers. People can say, do anything that'll trigger you, throw you off your square, get you in trouble. But once you start to get yourself together and you start to understand yourself and acknowledge your strengths, acknowledge your weaknesses, work on the things you like, work on the things you don't like, you know what I'm saying? Cultivate the things that are good, you know what I'm saying? Start breaking ties with the things, people, places, and things that are bad for you. Man, you start getting your shit together, bro, you know what I'm saying? And start walking with purpose and living with purpose, man. You can do so many amazing things, you know, for yourself and others.
No doubt. And another thing is, you know, something that really helped me, you know, just relax and not just, you know, because this is a stressful job. I'm not gonna lie to you, right?
Oh, I
mean,
can
you're
imagine.
holding, and I don't know how other attorneys are, but myself, I mean, I'm holding, you know, my clients, you know, I'm holding it on my shoulders, and it's heavy. You know what I mean? But you know, one of the things that has helped me is hitting the gym, right? That's like my thing. Not only that, you know, chasing money to what? To die early because you don't want to take care of yourself. Right. I remember what Tony Montana said. Is this what it's all about? You know,
This is it. This is what
you
it's
know,
all about.
You know, this is what it's all about.
Sucking, talking, you know.
Eating good food, right?
Yeah.
No, but seriously, you know, who wants? I'm trying to live to you know, to be 120 years old. Why not, right? But at the same time, man, you know, just hitting these weights, just relaxing, breathing good, you know, and keeps my mind right, hitting the weights.
Oh yeah, you become so focused once you get in that zone, bro. Where you get into the zone of self-care, like you get that positive, natural energy that keeps you focused, that keeps you determined, committed. You know what I'm saying? Like I love that feeling. Like I haven't worked out, bro, in over a year, and I feel it.
Yeah,
I feel it. It's on me.
yeah.
But and I miss the way I used to feel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? When I was, you know, working out, exercising, playing sports, just being active, you know, it's just life consumes you, bro. Life consumes you. And by the time I'm punching out of work and it's like I'm exhausted, bro, you know? And once you're mentally exhausted and emotionally exhausted, bro, the body gonna follow suit, you know?
You got to take that time.
But I definitely got to take some time and get started, man, because you know, I've been just doing big chilling. Like when I came home, I'm like, bro, I ain't counting calories. I ain't doing none of that shit. I just missed out on 17 years of life. I'm not trying to make up for it, but I'm trying to live my best life every day. I wake up with gratitude. If I want a cheeseburger, I'm finna eat the cheeseburger. I'm finna, you know, I want Burger King, however it go. You know what I'm saying? I gotta have it because there was a time in my life where I had to eat what they gave me.
right.
You know, I didn't have that privilege no more. But I see I done let the shit get the best of me. Now a nigga built like a combo pack. You know what I'm saying? Supersized and shit, you know. But it's all good, bro. I'm still comfortable in my own skin. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, I admire, you know, brothers that can get right back into it. And I will eventually, you know.
I was stutter stepping with it for a long time, and I've been 60 days strong. I went and got me, you know, I joined this little lunkhead gym out there in Grindline MMA, or Grindline Fitness, and they, you know, personal training piece, right? But yeah, I feel like $1 million.
That's dope, man. That's good, bro. Like they say, wealth is health, or health is wealth. I'm saying. Nah, no doubt about it, man. But you know, what do you think about? Did you see the video with the Alabama?
I did.
Man, the whole scrap with the ferry and then the pontoon, and I mean, it turned into a whole black and white thing, bro. I've been watching the video for 2 days, bro.
You know, it's crazy because when I first watched it, I thought it was like two different families, right? Because I didn't really have context. All of it was just an arrow pointing at the guy swimming, right? But then, you know, once it got full context, you know, it put more, you know, to the story, right?
Yeah, I mean, so the story that from what I understand, is that there was a security guard, you know, black man. He was in his 60s. you know, there was a pontoon parked. They asked the people to move so that the ferry could move on in, you know what I'm saying? And, you know, the people who were in the pontoon had an issue with him trying to direct them. And some blows was punching. Before you know it, they was jumping him. About 5 of them was on his head. Next thing you know, I'm watching the video. A guy jumps out of the ferry and he's swimming to land to come and aid the brother who's getting jumped. You know what I'm saying? Which I was like, damn, you a hell of a dude for that, because I'd have either drowned or I'd have been through by the time I got there. You know what I'm saying? But then, and then once the ferry got parked, a mob of brothers jumped out that bitch and was like, we about to up the score now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And it just turned into a whole thing, bro. I mean, it's just crazy, man. You know what I'm saying? To see, you know, violence the way it is, racism. I mean, just, you know, just all the craziness, bro, you know, and it's just uncalled for. But videos like that and incidents like that, bro, is the reason why we can never have peace. You know what I'm saying? Why it's so hard for us to build bridges, because of the conflict. You know what I'm saying? And it's just unfortunate.
You know what? It's crazy because everything now I look at it through like a lawyer lens, right? And you know, it's real powerful. The police have discretion who to arrest when they show up to a scene. Kind of like domestic violence. They show up to a house, you know, somebody, you know, one person says one thing, one person says the other thing. They usually take the man. I'll just be honest. They might take both. I don't know, but from my experience, I usually see them taking the man. But you know, I looked at it. And watching it, that's what I was looking for, to see who did they arrest when they showed up. You understand? Mm-hmm. Because again, they have discretion. Like for instance, I'll give you
just like an attorney,
right?
You looking for the legality.
Right.
Shit. Yeah.
So I'll give you a for instance. There's a local statute for drugs, and there's a state statute for drugs, and you know it can be the same amount of drugs. It could be a small amount, say for instance, a small amount of cocaine, right? Mm-hmm. And they can charge you less than 25, which is a felony, or they can charge you under a local ordinance for violation of the public health code, right?
Okay.
Should the police really have that much discretion? I don't think so. Depending on who, you know, who's the you know, person getting arrested, who's the arrestee, and who's the policeman, who is the officer. I don't think so. I think it needs to be universal, period, right? Because what it starts appearing as though it's, you know, selective on the basis of ethnicity and other things like that. I don't believe that they need to have that type of discretion. But you know, back to the video, you know, that's what I was looking for, is who were they arresting, right? Mm-hmm. And you know, it's yeah, I mean, this
listen. Dog had the chair. He was cracking heads with that bitch, bro. He was not playing. He whacked everybody with that motherfucking chair, bro. Yeah, I said, God dang, man. He was not playing no game. And I'm sure somebody got their head beat in for reasons that unknown. You know what I'm saying? Because, you know, you just don't know what a person's carrying, what's on a person's mind, what's on a person's heart. And you poke at them or anything. Day and age,
especially in the South, I'm surprised there wasn't no bullets flying, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
To be honest, I very rarely see people throwing blows anymore, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Age, right?
Yeah, and it's sad. It's unfortunate. Like, do you get a lot of young clientele? Just because, like, the young people are the ones doing a lot of the killing today.
There's been it's unfortunate. There's been this week alone. There's been a number of homicides in the city of Inkster, but you know, very sad situation. But I say the number one a case that I see repeatedly is CCW, carrying concealed weapon. Okay. Oftentimes it's individual who may not even have any prior record, but don't understand the law. Okay, you even if it's your legal weapon, carrying it in a vehicle, you can't open carry in a vehicle. People don't understand that. You cannot open carry in a car, right? You understand Michigan is an open carry state, but you can't open carry in an automobile. Because even being in the automobile is concealing it. Does that make sense?
Oh, shit.
Yeah, so even if you don't have a CPL, I would recommend not carrying that vehicle, a gun in the vehicle, okay? However, if you're going to, it has to be, it cannot be readily accessible. Do you understand? The magazine
has to be separate.
Has to be separated. You're supposed to put the weapon in a lock box within the trunk. The magazine is supposed to be in a whole nother area of the car. You know, preferably, I believe in the glove compartment,
box, yep.
Right? And there can't be one in the chamber. People don't know that. Okay, I've even seen a case where there was one where a guy had it in a duffel bag in the trunk, and they still charged him with CCW because it wasn't in a locked box, per statute. So they're very specific.
Wow.
Although the spirit of the statute was there, it wasn't specific. You understand what I'm saying?
No, for sure.
I mean, that's the case I see often, right? It's CCWs. And it's usually young folks who just don't know the law, but they're able to go in and get a firearm because they don't have any prior felonies. And ultimately, they may end up with a felony because they weren't educated in the law prior to buying it, right? Because you don't have to have legal education to buy the firearm. You only have to have, firearm education, the gun safety class. You don't have to have that to buy the firearm. You only have to have that if you're seeking a CPL. Oh, okay. Right? So I see that. I see that all the time.
I think that a lot of the adults are responsible for the kids, the youth having access to these guns the way that they do. I grew up crazy. I had a gun in every corner, every drawer. Stupid, young. I thought I was Tony Montana. I thought living that life. I glorified it. You know what I'm saying? I thought the shit was cool, you know what I mean? But I didn't think of what I was showing my kids and teaching my kids, and, it just, the impact that it makes, on generations to come, because all they're doing is going to repeat what they seen, what they heard, what they were taught, and use that as an excuse the same way we did, you know what I'm saying?
You can tell your kids all day, but they're gonna do what they see, right? Just like I said, my mama taught me right from wrong, but I did what I seen, right? So, I mean, it's very important that we lead by example, But, yeah, but you got to think about this, too, though. I don't necessarily think, first of all, now that I actually have the right to exercise my Second Amendment, I feel like a whole damn American, okay? Yeah. I'm not anti-Second Amendment, period, dot. And, the fact that I feel like they want all blacks and Mexicans to be anti-gun and anti-Second Amendment, I think is foolish, right? That's our right. That's our Second Amendment right as Americans, period, dot. I just feel like it's limited, and I could be wrong, but I feel like certain cultures or ethnicities teach their kids, educate their kids with guns at an earlier age, and that way they don't see. And then with ours, we're teaching them to be afraid of guns, etc. Don't be even policeman. My position is don't be afraid of the policeman. Teach your kid to be the damn policeman. So we'll have our own kids policing our own communities when they become adults, instead of having individuals that don't live within our community, aren't familiar with our community, policing us. Does that make sense?
So this is what's crazy. You're absolutely correct. But I do a lot of outreach work, bro. I'm always in the streets as far as east side, west side, southwest, you know what I'm saying? And I remember some years ago, everybody was campaigning, be the change you want to see. You know what I'm saying? So that means if you don't like the justice system, go be an attorney, go be a prosecutor, go be a judge. You don't like the police in your community, become a police officer. They were talking about how, you had, precincts with police officers that were not from the community, don't understand the people of the community, and they were doing a disservice to the community. So now I see a lot of people joining the police, for people from the community, becoming police officers and becoming firefighters and, becoming the change that they want to see, and then still being discriminated against by their own people. Oh man, you police now you this and you that. Yeah. And it's like, bro, I become it because I care for my community. That's why I become a police officer. But it's like, no matter what you do, you always getting backlash. People always got something to say. People are very opinionated. And, me, I applaud people who are trying to do something positive. Of course, you want to be a police officer. Yeah, police your own community, where you come from. So because you understand, you know what I'm saying? The tierra. The tierra is the dirt, the land of your people. You know what I mean? And then to be criticized, oh man, now you working with the police and you a police officer and things like that. And it's like, bro, I'm here to do a service to my people. I'm here to do something good and positive,
Listen, and let's just be frank. Let's talk up front about this. I didn't realize, I did realize this, but when I actually became a lawyer, I seen it even more. There's only a handful of Latino attorneys that I see on a daily basis, at least in criminal law. And of those, I may be the only one that's Chicano, to be honest with you. And same thing with the police department, even as far as the higher ups, not the street cops, right? But I realize they have a job to do, and I got a job to do, right? Their job is to protect the community. My job is to protect my client and protect his due process rights.
That's right.
Right. So while I used to have certain feelings towards police when I was younger, nowadays it's respect, 100%. Okay. And we especially officers that are from the community, that police the community. You got to appreciate that, right? I'm a firm believer. There used to be a law where you had to live within the community to police that, to be a police or fire.
Yeah.
Right. I'm not, and they ruled that down. I believe up in the Michigan Supreme Court. I could be wrong, but I'm not against that law. I think it makes sense, right? Because you want people from your community policing your community, right? You just do.
Absolutely.
Because they're vested. They're vested. Period. And if people know there's police and firemen living on their block, they would think twice before, pulling some okie doke.
So I grew up in River Rouge, and a lot of the police officers who I really cared about were the ones who were from the community. Officer Terry Crawford, rest in peace, Deborah Price, Carl Smart. Like, these were real people, grew up in the community. Their kids went to the schools that I went to, and they were not out to arrest me, bust me, get me in trouble. Like, they came in with endearment.
But that's where that discretion piece comes in.
Yeah.
Because they have discretion whether to arrest or take you home to mom's house and say, yo, get Eladio in check, right? They have discretion whether to put you in the system at age 14, 15, or whether to take you home and essentially, let your parents know what you're into. You understand? And oftentimes you'll see it go into the justice system 9 times out of 10 nowadays, right? Which is a problem. Especially even at the school district. If you're every time that we, the kids act up in school, there didn't used to be officers in every school, not in every district. Maybe back in the day it was only in Detroit. But nowadays they will essentially criminalize you before you even hit the justice system. They'll criminalize you in school. And then when you go to the justice or to the juvenile system, and I represent juveniles all day, every day as well. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, all right. And that's a difference. It's criminal, but it's complex because they have different levels to it. They can wave you up as an adult. They got, kind of a hybrid, etc. But at the end of the day, they always bring into your school record. So don't think that school disciplinary record don't affect you when they thrust you into the system.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Discretion.
Definitely.
That's what I was talking about. Discretion. They got a lot of discretion.
Yeah. So, I grew up young. Like I said, I was raised by a village of gang members, drug dealers. I became that.
Right.
I became that. I was that. I never really had no animosity or hate for the police because it was a cat and mouse game. You know what I'm saying? I'm the drug dealer. You're the police officer. Your job's to catch me. My job's to get away. You know what I'm saying? But the first time that I ever really felt any animosity for police officers was when they arrested my mom. They was in front of my house and they was roughing me up. You know what I'm saying? They was, beating me up a little bit, had my face on the hot hood. You know what I'm saying? So, and right in front of my house. So my mother comes out like, hey, the fuck you doing to my son? Get off my son. Because it was about 3 of them. You know what I'm saying? I ain't nothing but about 17, And, my mom came out to defend her son, and they snatched my mother up, bro. Cuffed her up, put us both in the car, took us both to jail. Bro, from that day on, bro, I swear, bro, I hated the police, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? For what they did to my mother. You know what I mean? And, I carried that resentment for a long time. I had absolutely total disregard and no respect for the law or police officers after they did that to my mother, And, I hate that my mother had to experience that, But, I like I said, learning how to hold yourself accountable for things. I blame myself for that because had I not been doing the shit I'd have been doing, my mother would have never had to come out there and defend me. You know what I'm saying? And none of that would have ever happened. But, at the end of the day, bro, I just try to be an example of what being a good person is, being a civilized is, and being just a decent person.
No doubt.
Hey,
you just made me kind of just think about, some of the things that, catalyst to becoming an advocate and becoming an attorney. My mama used to be a beast advocate. Every time I get in trouble, she'd be up there, right? And she, she was very well learned, but not no formal education. But she, was very well learned. She read a lot, right? Mm-hmm. So she'll be up there just advocating and fighting for me every time I was getting in trouble up there, getting arrested or school or the police, etc. And she was pretty fierce, right? And I just think about that. But yeah, shout out to moms, right?
Yeah, all the moms, for sure, man. But listen, brother, it's been a pleasure having you here. It's been a pleasure hearing your story. Let them know where they can find you at, bro.
We done already? We're in the 12345 Plaza right here on Telegraph Road next to Pete's Place, between 94 and Eureka on Telegraph, right down the street from the Michigan State Police. We also have a downtown office, 220 West Congress. Phone number 313-748-8290. Follow me on all the social media pages. And if you can't find me, just reach out to Ladio. He'll let you know where I'm at.
Ain't no doubt.
You need me, I got you.
Hashtag Mr. Not Guilty, man. Edward Martell, man. Reach out. If you're dealing with some legal issues, he'll definitely get you together. Big shout out to everybody, man. Everybody, much love. I appreciate you. Thank you. Big shout out to DNR, Danny Reyna, and his concrete and construction. Shout out to my brother Zoe at LA Landscaping. And big shout out to Martell Law, man. And everybody that's been showing me love, sharing, subscribing, donations, sponsorship, all that good stuff. Love y'all, man. Keep it up. I'll see you next Monday.